Hi, today is July 17th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 1154 for the year, An Apology. I am loving Edinburgh so far, but my head is still in Glasgow, where yesterday afternoon I saw a sign in front of a construction site that said, Apologise, or Apologies, Apologise, for any inconvenience caused by these works. I don't know whether apologize means apologize, as in we apologize for any inconvenience caused by these works, or whether it means apologies, as in we offer our apologies for any inconvenience caused by these works. But either way, it's a construction site apologizing for itself, and it didn't even take up hardly any of the sidewalk. There was plenty of room for pedestrians and cars and bikes and whatever to get around. Apologies were completely unnecessary, but very much appreciated. So thank you, Graham Construction Company, for your apology. I am very much moved by your gesture. Poem number 1155, Dissimilarity. Whereas once he wanted a similar kind of difference, now he wanted a different kind of similarity, or maybe a different kind of difference. Certainly not a similar kind of similarity. A similar kind of similarity sounded awful. A similar kind of similarity would be too similar, too familiar. He knew that whatever it was that he wanted there to be difference involved. He wasn't sure if he wanted a different similarity or a different difference, but he knew he wanted difference. And he wanted that difference to not be similar to the similar kind of difference that he had once but no longer wanted. Poem number 1156, Cookies. The cookies came out of the oven on a cookie sheet and began to cool. Then they began to get cold. Then one of the cookies, whose name was Cookie, said, Yo, can someone throw a blanket over us? We're getting cold. Another cookie, who was also called Cookie, said, That's right, a cookie blanket is what we need. A cookie sheet is well and good, but we need a cookie blanket. Another cookie, whose name was also Cookie, said, I don't think there's any such thing as a cookie blanket, and even if there was, it might be made of metal rather than something soft and warm as you would expect a blanket to be made of. The sheet that we are on is metal, and it is reasonable to assume that even if there were such a thing as a cookie blanket, it might very well be uncomfortable and maybe not even very warm. The first cookie, whose name was still Cookie, had a feeling that Cookie was right. Cookie was embarrassed and remained quiet until all of the cookies were moved to the jar. When the lid was placed on the jar, Cookie said, The lid is kind of like a blanket. This made most, if not all, of the cookies, all of whom were named Cookie, feel a lot better. Poem number 1157, The Things in the Place. The place could have stood to have been decorated somewhat. The walls were a dull color, and nothing was hung on them, and the cupboards and appliances were similarly dull-colored and blended in with the walls. The ceiling was the same color as the walls, and the floor, which had no carpeting, was also that same color, and what little furniture there was, one table and a couple of chairs, blended in with everything else because it was also that same dull color. And the other rooms and the doors and the sink and the tub and the bed and the sheets and the blankets and everything else were all the same color. I mean, you get the idea. If all of the things in the place had gotten together and formed a band, they could have been called the Monochrome Set, except that that name had already been taken long ago. And the last poem of the day, poem number 1158, July in Edinburgh. Around the corner, so beautiful and desolate, and old cobblestones, and screeching gulls, and white and gray, and an empty, full sky, and a muttering man still drunk from last night, but so quiet, and everything and everyone so quiet, and quite cold, considering it's July in Edinburgh, and where am I? And cross the street, and enter the cafe, and there I am. All right, that's it. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.